We acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land on which we gather, the Turrbal people of Yuggera land, as well as the Woiwurrung people of the Warrantigi land. We recognise their continued connection to the land and waters of this beautiful place and acknowledge that they never ceded sovereignty. We respect all Turrbal.
Good evening. You are listening to the New Blurt. Just give me one moment.
I can't take it anymore!
Good afternoon, good evening, good day, and good morning, Blurtsters, wherever you are around the world. You are listening to the Blurt.
Well, you are, and you're very lucky to be, because we're coming live, but we're sort of, I don't know, I'm not sure what's going on. The NBN doesn't seem to be doing us any favours at the moment. We've had technical difficulties before we've even started. It's been a wonderful, wonderful start to the show so far. So if you see any lagging happening, I apologize for it now. And when the podcast happens, I'll try to clean up everything I possibly can. And of course, this happens when we have an extremely special guest tonight. We've got Dylan Behan with us, and we are honored to have him. And he'll pop in probably in the next 5 minutes or so. And we'll have a chat to him regarding what his 2022 looks like, how Dom Perignon up there is doing for him in New South Wales, and basically anything else that basically Dylan would like to talk about. His prolific tweeting. If you ever follow his prolific tweeting, it's always interesting. And we'll probably talk about ScoMo's press club today as well. So anyway, I am the Kegster, and I'm going to introduce my co-host Wency early, because we don't want to waste any of Dylan's time. He has been on the line for us very patiently. So, Wency!
Kegster! Welcome home.
Actually,
I'm back home.
It's home. You. Yeah, finally. Not me. I've been here all the time. I haven't moved. No. Although I have been at work, so. Yeah,
true. That's pretty risky to be in COVID central Melbourne, going to work into the office, don't you think?
Mate, I'm triple vaxxed, and there's no one in the office. I mean, you talk about social distancing. I'm anti-social distancing. I'm the only one on a floor of about 300 meters squared. It's fine.
Wow.
I couldn't be further away from people if possible. So
you're safe then. But you're very safe.
Yes, I am. I am very safe indeed. So you are safe too. You're back in Brisbane.
Yes, after doing 3,000 kilometres or more.
Yeah, near hurricanes, I think.
Yeah, a few went past us, north of us, thank goodness. Got quite a bit of rain a couple of weeks ago, but I was hoping for cyclones, but didn't happen. Never lived through one. It's on my bucket list.
Oh, yeah.
That's why we moved
to
Queensland.
It's on your bucket list to live through a cyclone.
I've lived through earthquakes. I was close to a tsunami in Thailand, so I think cyclone is probably the next one on the list.
Did you have pandemic on your bucket list as well?
No, that's something I never ever wanted. But we've been stuck with it for 3 years now, so yeah, it's now.
Well, I think
we can just tick it off.
I think Dylan tweeted this the other day. It was very good, actually. He said we've had 3 years of 2020. And,
does that mean I'm still 46?
That's such a good question. I like that. That's very, very good. Okay, we are going to bring in our special guest right now, and that means it's get off the grass ScoMo time.
Can everyone get off the grass, please?
Sure. Let's just move back from there.
Sorry. Hey guys, I've just reseated that.
Please, off the thing.
Sorry, mate.
All good? That's all good. Thanks.
Good evening, Dylan. I know it's a bit laggy, but just see if you can bear with this.
All good. How you going, guys? Thanks for having me on.
Welcome, Dylan.
You're most welcome, Dylan.
Now, quick question. I know we talking over each other already. The wonders of modern technology. I was just going to ask about the clip you play. What are your thoughts on the get off the grass guy? Do you think that was a setup, or what are your thoughts?
No, I actually think it was. No, I don't think it was a setup. Actually, I think it was a massive stuff up. And yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure. What do you actually think that was constructed?
I don't know. I used to shoot news many, many years ago, and I came to the realization that pretty much everything that winds up on the news is there for a reason. And I felt like maybe it worked very well for Scott Morrison that on the day he was launching his home builder package, he was on a homeowner's lawn. I don't know. Maybe that's about as deep as I get with the conspiracy theories. I don't know. That's maybe it's just a coincidence. I'm not sure.
I think the stepping on the grass was accidental, but like you said, the stage shot was definitely planned. So I think it's a bit of both.
Could be. It definitely got ScoMo. That grab wound up on every news channel that night. I remember.
And we live it every month.
I've got to put some funky music behind it.
Oh, that would be good. Maybe some dubstep, like you're on the project or something.
Yeah.
Yes. No. Well, I mean, that's what we're aspiring to. It's no doubt about that. And obviously, having you on is something we're trying to improve the show by. But technical fun has hasn't helped us as much. But anyway, we have you on, and that's absolutely fantastic. So I just wanted to start, Dylan, your 2022 podcast series. When is that starting? The Newsfighters pod. It's an absolute cracker. If people haven't got out there, we'll have it in the show notes at the end of this show. But if you wanted to maybe just describe it to a few people that maybe not have listened and what they can look forward to in 2022.
Yeah, thanks, Kegster. Yeah, if you haven't listened to the show before, it's not really a podcast. It's not. I think it's more a rant. I don't know. It's me. It's very inspired by I worked on Tonightly with Tom Ballard, and when that got axed, I kind of kept wanting to do this news analysis thing. So I thought, maybe I'll try it as a podcast. So it's kind of in that American late night TV, Seth Meyers, John Oliver mold of me playing clips. I'm a video editor as my day job, so I find lots of funny clips and then try and say jokes off the back of them, and usually about what's in the news that week. So yeah, the plan for 2022, last year I decided to go absolutely gangbusters and I did 42 episodes every week. I do the whole show myself, which is insane. This year I'm easing back a bit, just going to go fortnightly. And then I think
it is insane.
During the election, I think I'm going to try and go weekly. I think that's kind of the rough plan, because I need to sleep sometime.
Two jobs. Yeah, it's a bit hard, isn't it?
Well, video editing. Yeah, video editing. I mean, during the day, and then doing your own audio editing at night, and I suppose any other piece of time that you can grab to do that. I mean, I've heard some of your clips, Dylan. They're I love the seamlessness of obviously you talking then splicing. I mean, that must take hours. I only sort of put this podcast together at the end, and I mean that only takes an hour or so. But I mean, it's not in the same league as what you're doing, so. I've just wondered the creative process you're going through.
Well, I have to say, it's taken me 3 years of doing Newsfighters, but I finally realized why the interview model is the best model of making podcasts, because an hour of content takes about an hour to make. Whereas when you pre-write and pre-edit everything, I think the longest I spent, I did a Boris Johnson episode that's 12 minutes long. I think I spent like a month on, but not the full month, just nights here and there. So generally each episode takes about 2 or 3 days of 10 to 15 hour days. So I need to,
so there goes your weekend.
Exactly. Yeah. I've been lucky with COVID. Working from home has meant that I haven't had to commute, and I can, if I see something funny on Twitter during the day, I'll grab the clip there and then. Or on the news or whatever. So the creative process is very much finding funny things in the news, grabbing the clip, and then if I think of a joke, and often you mention I'm prolific on Twitter, because Twitter's kind of my drafts, I guess, of a lot of things for the show. Also, how I can remember it's something funny that, say, Scott Morrison said in the press club today, as I'll chuck it on Twitter, and then when I come back to write the show, I'm like, what was that idea I had for a funny joke? Oh, that's right, such and such. So yeah,
that's a great idea, because then you can get answers back from the Twitters and incorporate that into your comedy sketch or
yes. Not that anyone engages with me. I think everyone's blocked me because I just tend to have rant too much.
No, oh, we have rant o'clock here at home with our kids.
I'd be very surprised.
We love ranting.
I've been very surprised, actually, with some of your tweets, Dylan. I've read them and I've gone, why is no one like that? I'm going to like that.
Thank you.
Don't understand.
Much appreciated. I think because they're worried it'll encourage
you were
me.
going to talk about... Oh, sorry. Oh, you don't need any encouragement. You must be number 2 or 3 behind Dan Illick on the Twitter sphere, I would have thought.
Sometimes, not in terms of numbers. You need to be on the project for that, I think.
Yeah. I think once you've made it to the project, you're
or Q&A, yeah.
Now, sorry, Dylan, go for it.
No, what were you going to say?
I was going to say, I was a bit of a Tonightly tragic, and I did actually know you were a writer for the Tonightly. That's correct, isn't it?
I was technically the senior video editor, but I had free range to write segments whenever I wanted, and I went to the writers' meetings. And yeah, it was a great show. They hired a lot of people who could, do their normal job, but then throw ideas into the pot. So I didn't write. I wasn't a full-time writer, but I got a few things up, which was great.
Excellent.
It was a fantastic show.
Do you have any examples of what you did?
In terms of examples, I did actually wrote it with Tom Ballard. We did the day Turnbull was deposed. We did like an obituary for Turnbull that was great. And then my piece de resistance was I did when Barnaby Joyce was fired from being Nationals leader for basically, boozing it up and having affairs. I edited together a Barnaby movie trailer of his life story, but it was all Johnny Depp clips from Johnny Depp movies. So it was as if Johnny Depp was playing Barnaby Joyce in the story of his life. So that's the kind of, awesome. I'm not quite up with the guy on Insiders who does all those mashups. I don't have the graphic skills for that, but every now and then I have a funny idea like that, which they let me put on, which was great.
Those video clips from Insiders are awesome. Hugh
Parkinson. Yeah. I met him years ago. He's a genius. Yes.
Yeah.
Is that his full-time job, Dylan? Because you're right.
I'm not sure. I don't think the ABC has the budget to pay anyone full-time anymore. So I don't know.
They're all just contractors.
Yeah. Well,
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
And if ScoMo gets back in, they'll have absolutely no chance of getting paid because they'll cut the budget again, won't they? So.
Yeah, that's the worry.
More, like they do every year. So how do we get rid of him?
It is a worry. Now, Dylan, you were going to talk about the press club today with ScoMo.
Yes. Sorry, there's a bit of a lag there, so I keep waiting for you to. I think you wait for me to talk while I wait for you to talk. Did you guys see any of the? So Scott Morrison did his big, almost a soft election campaign launch today at the National Press Cup. Now, I found that the gist of this to be, I stuffed up, so re-elect me. I think that was the vague. I did things wrong, so re-elect me. Did you guys catch any of the speech today or see any on the news?
I did see some of it and more the controversial stuff, but I know he did go to the press club to be, I guess, what am I trying to say? English has left me. He was trying to be sincere and trying to make people like him for all the shit that he's done for the past couple of years. I guess was his intent.
It's hard. Yeah, it's hard because he's trying to admit that he's stuffed up, but at the same time, it's his re-election pitch. And those two things don't normally go together. Like you don't go you don't have your annual job review and go, I fucked it, guys. Like, so it's a weird tone. I'm not quite sure how that will work for him at the election. And then the big takeaway was Peter Van Onselen, who is got up, and he's probably trying to deflect from some controversies against him this week in regards to some workplace issues. But he got up and said he had a text from a government minister in which Gladys Berejiklian, our former premier, called Scott Morrison a horrible, horrible person. And then Gladys Berejiklian released a statement this afternoon saying she had no recollection of saying that. Now, why wouldn't you just own that? Nobody disagrees with that statement that Scott Morrison is a horrible, horrible person.
Just about everyone who's ever worked with him has come out saying that it is. Yeah.
What was that?
That is so.
Sorry, I lost you.
I was just saying she'd probably get more votes.
Exactly. I think she's going off news poll. That is the majority opinion now. But I think maybe she's worried if he gets reelected, she might want to give him a job if he does manage to get reelected. And then there was the big gotcha question where Scott Morrison didn't know the price of a loaf of bread, a rat test, or a liter of petrol, but he kept talking about how they're the good economic managers, which I found interesting.
Yeah. And in his defense,
well, I
don't think he would ever be buying that, ever, in his role.
Well, that's what he said.
He should still know the basics,
I'll leave those sort of things up to you, mate, is what he said to Andrew Clennell from Sky News. And it's like, so once you become prime minister, people just bring bread and petrol to you. Is that like, like you're an ancient Egyptian pharaoh, like, bring me the bread and petrol. I do not need to know the prices of these things. And like, he's in a car driving around. He never glances out at the price of petrol out the window and goes, oh, that's a bit high. He's just like, doesn't concern me.
No, he's in his own little bubble.
He just clearly doesn't care about the cost of living issues affecting anyone else. It's crazy. It's crazy.
Well, considering he gets paid $500,000, of course not. He won't care. He doesn't pay for his
car.
He
can buy as much petrol. He can buy as much petrol as he wants, or what his servants can, I guess.
Yeah.
Well, he's going to keep mining fossil fuels, so it'll be there for him.
Yeah.
Exactly. And then the other thing Scott Morrison said today, when he was asked about the vaccine rollout, or he's talking about things he'd done wrong, and he said the thing he would fix with the vaccine rollout is he would make it a military operation earlier. Remember how they brought in General Fruin, who did nothing? He just turned up in a uniform, like we're a Southeast Asian military dictatorship. So he said he would bring this guy in earlier, when actually what got us the vaccines earlier was he literally jumped on the phone and rang every country in the yellow pages. Hello, Poland, have you got vaccines? Great, send them here. And then now...
K-Rudd had made the same phone calls.
Exactly. And then he's talking about bringing the military in earlier in the vaccine rollout. And right now, the aged care sector is literally calling for the military to be brought in to help out in the aged care sector, which is exactly what happened in Canada during their outbreaks last year in the aged care system. And they're like, no, we just need a guy in a uniform on TV at the press conferences. That's what solves everything.
Yep, smokes and mirrors.
Exactly.
That's all it is. And what did you think of it? I think
an issue with the aged care right now in New South Wales, Dylan, with the Omicron spreading through your aged care. Is that right?
I think it's through aged care everywhere in New South Wales. I heard on the news tonight that there a lot of people in aged care. A lot of people are dying in aged care. They're making up a large section of the daily deaths. I think it was 30 today in New South Wales. But a lot of people in aged care have yet to be even offered boosters, which is just criminal to me. So it's
for sure. Considering
it's crazy.
Priority last year.
I was down at Darling Harbour near where my folks live last night, and Darling Harbour. You ever been there? It's a tourist spot, a bit like As
It's where the
every city
IMAX
kind of has a
used to be,
harbour
or-
front.
Yep, I've been
Exactly.
there.
So 2 people fell in the water and died, and they fenced off all of Darling Harbour. You cannot go
Oh,
near the
God.
water now.
Oh,
And 30
bloody hell.
people are dying a day from COVID, and it's your personal responsibility. New South
Don't get me
Wales is-
started on the
Yeah.
personal responsibility. Jeez.
Yes, our new premier, Dom Perrottet. It's so funny. He's, it's almost like we got to open up, we got to open up, we got to open up, and it's all personal responsibility. It's quite funny. And then he's saying we're not in a de facto lockdown, but then he's calling to the federal government for economic support. It's like, well, hang on, which is it? Which is it?
Yeah. And it's the one
was
good thing from the state government there is Matt Keane. He's the only one who's got the balls to go against or speak up to ScoMo.
Yes,
What
yeah,
I
exactly.
can tell. Yeah.
Yeah, we were, if it wasn't for Omicron, I helped Dan Ilick out on Irrational Fear, and we were going to have Matt Keane on Irrational Fear live stage show at the Opera House a couple of days ago, but unfortunately Omicron has shut everything down here. Same as there. How's it going where you guys are? Is everything like pretty much no movies, no concerts, no nothing kind of thing?
No. I actually went to a movie last week and the week before, and I'm going to see Harry Angus from the Cat Empire on Thursday evening.
Great.
Yeah. That's pretty good.
So it's not, so it's not all shut down from an entertainment perspective. I mean, we've still got, stage shows are still going on, like Moulin Rouge is on, and Hamilton's up, I think, in about a month or something. And they're all musicals? Yeah.
Yeah, no, our musicals are going on. It's weird. They did this weird thing where I think the musicals are still allowed to be at 100% capacity, like Hamilton and stuff, but they banned outdoor music festivals. I don't understand that.
But not the religious outdoor concerts.
No, exactly. They had a real Hillsong.
Yeah.
Hillsong was a bonding weekend or something. I don't know. I don't know what their exemption was.
Bondage? Did you say bondage?
I think it was bonding. But we don't know what they get up to.
Yeah.
Exactly. Well, it's not just ScoMo either. Apparently, there's about, I think, 10 in the LNP. The Line Our Party are in the Hillsong.
That's what I've heard, and there's all sorts of pre-selection battles going on for the upcoming federal election, which I assume is them trying to stack the Liberal Party with more hardcore fundamentalist religious people. But we'll see.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's very true.
Yeah,
that is
just
true.
like in Abbott's old seat. Sorry,
was that Warringah?
It's terrible. Apologies. For
was this old seat?
Yeah, Warringah. I believe so. And
that's
the last
State
person standing. Yeah, the Liberal candidate. I think Janice something or other. She pulled out. She's a judge, and she's pulled out today. And I think it only leaves one person who I think might be Hillsong or definitely a Tony Abbott 2.0 candidate. That's for sure.
Yeah, they're helicoptering a guy in, I believe, and they are saying he's Mr. Tony Abbott, I believe. But I think Zali will kill him.
I don't know. Looking at the polls, you think this would be a bit of a poison chalice. Like I don't think it's looking good if the polls hold the way they do for the next 4 months. That they're kind of fighting over the deck chairs on a sinking ship at the moment a little bit. It seems.
I think so.
We can only hope because we can only hope because the Chasic just keeps telling us all repetitively that if Labor look like they're in any chance of winning, they'll definitely do a hamstring before they get to the end. So I really don't want to believe them. I don't want to believe them.
I know. I joked the other day that let's just sit back and watch how Elbow stuffs this up now because it could happen.
Yeah, I know.
But
I know.
I see the big difference here is that Shorten, even before the election, nobody liked him. But this time round, people are a bit ambivalent about him. So he's 3 months ahead of Shorten. So he has a chance, I think.
I think Albo's had the very smart idea of just keeping his mouth shut.
Mm. It's a bit like what Dan
when
Andrews
that-
did
just-
before he
Well,
became
that's
Premier.
it. When one party's
Yes.
destroying themselves, you just let them do it, basically.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Very true.
And everyone's forgetting Tony Abbott won in 2013, and he was immensely unpopular in the favorability ratings, and he still won that election. So personal, if the
Yeah.
other party looks like they're tearing themselves apart, then favorability ratings I don't think are that important.
Mm. That is true. Who was he up
Yeah.
against at the time? Was that
I think
Gillard?
you're right.
Or was it Rudd?
Rudd came back for like a month.
Oh yes,
Rudd.
yes,
Yeah, that's right. The Rudd. The rerun.
Was it?
That's right.
It was Rudd, Gillard, Rudd. Jeez, we've
good
had
old-
some weird, interesting shit since 2007. Jeez, it's been seriously.
Yeah.
People must just look at
100
Australia
ministers.
and the government like a basket case. They really must. I mean, how many times have we swapped prime ministers from the same party? It's just ridiculous.
What's interesting though is this seems to be happening, and I don't know whether it's the age of social media, but this is happening. This is happening a lot in Japan, and I think it's always happened in Italy and the UK, of course, is on their third
That's true. That's true.
Conservative prime minister. I feel like maybe there's just a more of a churn now with the 24-hour news cycle and also as soon as someone's not working,
Yeah.
they can just replace them. I don't know. It's interesting. I think with the UK and Japan and other countries doing this, Australia doesn't seem that abnormal these days. If anything, Germany seems abnormal because they had Angela Merkel for like 15 years or whatever.
And it was a
That's
nice
true.
transition.
That's very
to
true.
the new Chancellor. Yeah.
Yes, Olaf.
We're
Yeah,
not
it was really
an
peaceful.
anomaly anymore, are we?
No, not at all.
Olaf. Was it?
Olaf
Is that his
Schultz
name?
is the-
Olaf?
Yes.
Olaf Schultz.
Yes. You have a German guest, I believe, that's working in Germany that I think you had on last year, and he was very insightful with what's happening over there at the moment, and it was really interesting, especially about the housing situation.
Yes. Oh goodness, I can't remember his name, but yes, I had on a great guest from Deutsche Welle on the ground in Germany that I actually interviewed at like 3-4 in the morning Berlin time. He was on the overnight shift and tuned in and told me all about the election. And yeah, Germany's very interesting because it's a huge country in terms of biggest country in Europe. And very they did this thing where the people of Berlin voted to take away the housing from landlords who own lots of properties, but I don't think it's binding, unfortunately.
Mm.
Oh,
Interesting.
right.
So it wasn't a
So
popular move.
does that mean? So that means government-wise, it won't be enforced from the new government. That's what you're saying.
Look, I don't know. It was kind of one of those, these ballot initiatives. America has them, but maybe they can. I think that the idea was they wanted to forcibly acquire ghetto landlords or landlords who own lots of properties and break it up so they're bought by smaller landlords or something. But I'm not sure if that'll happen. But yeah, go back and check out that episode. When Olaf became Chancellor, I relaunched that, so that I replayed that, so that's on the podcast feed. I think I played that in December.
Okay.
No, definitely will.
I'll have to listen to that one.
Will. So when are you back on air officially with your podcast?
Yes, Friday, February 11th. I just locked it in today. So that's Friday week. Back fortnightly and bonus episodes monthly on the Patreon. And I put everything up on YouTube. So if you're listening to it and you're like, wow, this is really hard to follow on the podcast app, you can watch it on the YouTube with all the clips. I do like a video version of it.
Wow.
So yeah. So that's
that'd be great.
newsfighters.com and I think youtube.com/newsfighters and in everyone's podcast feed. So yes, please check it out.
We'll have those in
We'll
the
definitely
links
do
of our
that.
show at the end of it. So, yep, for sure.
We absolutely will.
And
Look,
do you,
Dylan, I'd like.
do you have
I'd
any
like to-
special guests that you've lined up already? Oh, sorry, Keisha.
No guests yet. I'm still planning. I'm still planning the year. The show might change a little bit this year, and might be a few less guests this year. So yeah, it's slight format change, but looking forward to bringing it back. And thanks to you guys for having me on the new Blurt.
No worries.
It's been an absolute pleasure.
Most welcome.
That's basically all we can say from here. Absolutely. And we look forward to listening to the Newsfighter pod on February the 11th. So look out for that, people. That should be awesome. Thank you very much.
Awesome.
Exactly.
Thanks, guys.
See you later, Dylan.
Talk later. Bye. See ya.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. Hello, can you
Dylan
hear
was
me?
brilliant. And also to just go through this
He was.
lag. Seriously, it's just been and very, very patient. I really appreciate it. I have to send him a very well-worded email because that was very gracious of him because we still have lagging and I don't know why. It's doing my head in.
Yes.
You know, I've got to tell you, buddy. And what a
Yes,
professional.
It is.
Fantastic. So anyway, getting back to Dylan. So his potty will start on February the 11th, and a Newsfighter podcast. As he said, it's a whole bunch of clips where he splices jokes and commentary in between. It takes him hours and hours to do this sort of stuff. And it's well worth listening to. And now we know it's actually on the YouTube channel. Definitely check that out because I'm sure the clips will be hilarious.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
I really look forward to
Yeah.
that. And again, I just want to say thank you very much for that. So, okay, fantastic. So what we might do now, my friend, is see if we can do a little bit of this. We'll just see.
The Australia Institute produces high-quality research that has real-world impact, whether it's revealing the $10.3 billion in fossil fuel subsidies provided by federal and state governments last year, or our long-standing research advocating for a federal anti-corruption commission with real teeth. We change minds. To donate, head on over to australiainstitute.org.au.
Yes, absolutely.
Do that.
That's
Go
another one.
donate.
And I just want to, yes, do that because they are self-funded or they're funded by philanthropists, I would say. And they are adding to their content all the time, the Oz Institute. They've got Oz Institute TV. They've got a new potty that's on the YouTube channel. I think it's called Pole. I think it's called Pole Position. And Ebony Bennett is
yes, you're right.
yes, yep. She's the host of that. And the other night I was having a listen. It's fantastic. And she had Catherine Murphy on. Richard Merzian was not on because he's very much on the climate space. So he was not.
Okay.
But there was some really, really good people on there. And there was 900 people on the webinar. So it's well watched.
Wow,
It's very,
amazing.
very well
They
watched. Yeah, no,
usually
it's-
transmit that live. They usually do that live on a Tuesday, I believe. Those webinars and where they provide all that research and information for everyone to view and comment on. So yeah, definitely worth subscribing to their newsletter to get those links to the weekly podcast webinars. I've been to a few and quite enlightening to say the least.
They are very enlightening. And just another one, if you are interested in politics in any way and you are an Oz Institute subscriber or you listen already to Follow the Money, etc., which we've talked about on this podcast before, Richard Dennis, who features quite frequently in Follow the Money podcasts, has a new book out called Big. And if you go to the Oz Institute's page, you can get a 20% discount on his book at the moment.
Nice.
And it also gives you links to brilliant. So and it also gives you links to where his book tour will be, etc., etc. So yeah, no, definitely do that. And
It's very simple. Stop what you're doing and listen to this.
so that in the game is called padding, and I would like Wency to go ahead with what he wants to talk about tonight, because I think I have a clip with what you do want to talk about. And just so you do know, Listen to This is all about the best podcasts. Well, okay, not maybe just the best, but the ones that we're listening to at the moment, or the ones we've just discovered, but they're all good. So, just have a listen. Go for it, Wency.
Alrighty. So for me, it's not really, well, it is a podcast, but not one that I would listen to. He's been in the news this week, Joe Rogan, and he is hit the news because he's got all these guests, I guess. I assume, well, sorry, not assume. He has these guests on his show, and they start spouting all these misinformation about COVID and other things. So I haven't listened to it, so I can't be 100% sure exactly what has been said. But reading what has been out there, he has created a storm where people like Neil Diamond and Joni Mitchell have pulled their songs off Spotify. So yeah, and my understanding is that Spotify bought Joe Rogan the rights to host his podcast for something like $100 million or something, which is why they're probably defending him more than they probably would. So I think it's quite disgraceful as to what he's doing on his show, and without giving anyone any warnings and things like that prior to the show. So so that's one thing I wanted to talk about, and I'm sure you've got some comments or thoughts about that topic.
I do indeed, but I thought I might let him speak for himself at the moment.
Okay.
If I can get this to run.
Good on the show.
Video, first of all, because I think there's a lot of people that have a distorted perception of what I do, maybe based on sound bites or based on headlines of articles that are disparaging. The podcast has been accused of spreading dangerous misinformation, specifically about 2 episodes. I do not know if they're right. I don't know, because I'm not a doctor. I'm not a scientist. I'm just a person who sits down and talks to people and has conversations with them. Do I get things wrong? Absolutely, I get things wrong, but I try to correct them. Whenever I get something wrong, I try to correct it, because I'm interested in finding out with people that have differing opinions. No hard feelings towards Neil Young, and definitely no hard feelings towards Joni Mitchell. I love her too. I love her music. Chucky's in Love is a great song. I don't know what else I can do differently, other than maybe try harder to get people with differing opinions on right afterwards. I do think that that's important, and do my best to make sure that I've researched these topics, the controversial ones in particular, and have all the pertinent facts at hand before I discuss them. Again, I'm not trying to promote misinformation. I'm not trying to be controversial. I've never tried to do anything with this podcast other than just talk to people and have interesting conversations.
So that was straight from his mouth, basically. And all I can say, I've got a few things to say, as you probably would think I would. I've heard a few things. One of the things is that yesterday, The Chaser did their own Joe Rogan experience. Now, I highly recommend everyone and anyone that listens to this podcast go and listen to the last Chaser report. It was on the 31st of January, and it's called the Joe Rogan Experience. And I'm not going to tell you anything more than that because the joke is in listening to it, and it's well worth having a listen to. It's very funny. And the one thing I will say is that what I don't like about Joe Rogan is that he tells 21-year-olds not to get vaxxed, because if they're healthy, young, and full of life, he says, no, don't get vaxxed. But he's vaxxed, and he does believe in vaccination. So there's lots of ambiguities, and there's lots of double Dutch, there's lots of double speak, etc., etc. I mean, one of the things he said is that cloth masks don't work. Well, for Omicron, he's actually right. They don't. That has actually come out, and they have said that's true. But for all the other variants at the time, yes, they did. And Jesus, I can't tell you how many lives have been so saved by people wearing masks in different occasions, because people that aren't are getting getting COVID really quickly. Meghan Markle and Harry have said that they're going to pull their they've got a podcast on Spotify, and they've got a moderately lucrative deal as well. But as you said, it probably won't be 100 million. So yes, so they're thinking about pulling. He's actually said he's come out. Excuse me. He's come out and said he's happy to sit down with Neil Young and have a chat and talk through the issues, etc. I've got to be honest. I've actually listened not to a whole Joe Rogan, because they go for 2 hours. That's what's called an experience. Right. I would call it an exhaustive experience. But anyway, he's had Bernie Sanders on. He's had, I think he's had not Colbert, but he's had Jordan Peterson on, who's a bit of a whack job if you ask me. But anyway, but he and he quite likes Bernie Sanders as well. And that if you ever listen to a little bit of that, it's quite interesting. So it is really controversial in that he seems to contradict himself so much. I mean, he's an ex-UFC fighter, and how he got into this, I'm not exactly sure. But he promoted ivermectin because he reckons it helped him when he got COVID. Right. But when he went to a hospital when he got COVID, he had all the other sort of treatments, remdesivir and all these different sort of concoctions you're meant to have to fight COVID when you go to hospital. And he's got heaps of cash because they're giving him 100 million a year. So, well, is it a year or is it a contract? I'm not sure. But regardless, it's a lot of coins that you can pay for your own hospital, you know. So anyway, so he was able to do that. So, and ivermectin is really, really dangerous, as I've said on this program before. It is a product for animals, and apparently it's meant to help with mood complaints of animals, etc., etc. So, so no, you don't want to be taking animal stuff. No. And the other thing I wanted to say was one of the toss bags on Fox News, I can't remember her name, but she was basically sort of endorsing sort of Joe Rogan. Well, she was behind saying Australia needs to be saved and invaded by America because it's such a bloody commie state and all this other sort of crap. So, you know, when people like that are supporting your podcast, it does turn you off slightly. But that's
not only that, but just the 2 hours that you said.
5-minute rant.
Rants accepted at all times here on the Blurt.
Yes, very true. Very true.
Yeah. I'm sort of in two minds based on that information and what's come about in the last few days about that Joe Rogan podcast, and I think if he's more impartial and obviously he gets people who are controversial. That's his stick. But yeah, you still got to be able to give some warnings or some sort of information to the viewers or listeners out there to say, get your own information, seek professional advice, blah, 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 the usual thing that we should be doing in this pandemic. And so yeah,
For
I don't
about
know.
30 seconds, for about 30 seconds, then you weren't laggy at all, video wise,
Right.
and
That was
now
good.
you are again. Now you are.
Okay.
Again.
30 seconds out of 45 minutes. That's not bad.
Yeah. Look, honestly, we had a very, very good interview with Hannah last week.
Yeah.
Everything was clear. It was Jesus.
Yeah, no lag.
Person that you don't want to do that to, it's a video editor. Are you kidding me?
Yes.
I mean, it doesn't get more ironic than that. I mean, seriously.
That's so true. That is so true.
God. But
as long as we don't end up on the news, on his news to say, hey, the lag was really bad, blah, blah, blah.
Oh, no, it'd be good if, look, all publicity is good publicity.
Yeah, that is so true.
So, actually, talking about publicity, on the end of our last podcast, I did mention that I am in a play for the Flemington Theatre Company at Moonee Ponds Clock Tower on the 3rd and 2nd of April this year. And tickets are on sale now, and you can go to the links that will be in the show notes if you want to get some. It'll be funny. I play Prime Minister, and there's other hijinks that are skew. And the Governor General resigns on January 26th. So it's all chaos let loose. And from there, it's weird and wonderful. We did do it in 2016. It's got 400, 500 people has already seen it. Hopefully some of those people will come back and see this one. This is a bit reprised, and it's got a bit more of how good in it, which with the other one didn't so much because the other one was a bit of sort of Abbott time. But there's a little bit of that in this one. So
that's for the comedy festival. So go see a comedy festival and a comedy play, and be the wiser and funny. It's a funny show.
That is very true. That is very true. I forgot to say that. It is in the comedy festival, which means I am in the comedy festival, and that is weird. So
that is just brilliant, I think. Finally,
to be representative of the new Blurt on the comedy festival.
To be in the Melbourne International Comedy Festival, mind you.
Very true. Very
it's
true.
Only the international. The second of the best comedy festival in the world.
That's true. It's very true.
So I'm very proud of my co-host.
When you say it like that, I'm very chuffed. Very, very chuffed. But,
I can't wait to see the reviews. If only I was in Melbourne to watch it, to go see the play, and then I'd be reviewing it on the show. So I think we need to get someone to go see it and review it.
Yes, that would be very good. I'll have to get our friend Dave, because Dave would love a political play. So,
yes, he would.
Yeah, he would indeed. He would. He'd find this funny, I think. So, it'd be worth getting him down there. That'd be good.
Yes.
But it is on.
It's on Globe and it's funny.
No, it is. It is funny. It's good.
Yeah, it's funny.
It is. It's all right. It's okay. It definitely has its moments. No, it'll be fun. I'm madly learning my lines at the moment.
Yeah, I believe that. And how are you going with the rehearsal? With the remembering of the lines?
Yeah, well, remembering lines, to be honest, because I did quite a few musicals when I was in London, and I got really good at that. But the problem with this one is, well, the good part about it is I've done it before. So mind memory, or I can't find the word I'm looking for, but when you've already done something sort of once, it's already in here.
Memory muscle.
I've just got that's it, memory muscle. I just needed to come out again. And which it's doing quite well at the moment. But as I said, we're on 2nd and 3rd of April. Well, Jesus, it's the 2nd of February. So you do the maths. There's not a lot of time, and
2 months.
there is a lot of bums on fire sort of action at the moment. And we're doing rehearsals every Sunday and every Thursday. And I'm meant to have one this Thursday, but as I said, I'm going to see Harry Angus at the Cat Empire Empire at the Brunswick Ballroom. Just give the Brunswick Ballroom a plug there. Fantastic venue for people to go and see. Excuse me. It's all happening. It's all happening. And every spare moment I get when I'm at the gym, people think I'm nuts, more than normal. I'm just talking to myself the whole time. But it's really good, actually, in these times of COVID. Practicing your lines in public spaces is fantastic because people just walk away. They just disperse. It's fantastic. Honestly,
you should try it. He's a little bit cuckoo. He's talking to himself.
That's exactly right. Yes.
He thinks he's the Prime Minister.
That's how it all goes. So
that'd be awesome. I wish I could see it.
Well, if you give me 2 seconds and just give me my brain for 1 second, I might be able to give you the first lines of the show. So just give me a second. I just got to put my brain into action. I got to remember it. I'd know it normally, but being on air, it just gives that little bit of a whatever. So just give me a second. What we got? What is it? I love a sunburnt Australia day with pools of sparkling blue, where the polls are hitting highest peaks and opposition scandals in the news. How good is Australia Day? In all its flag-waving, patriotic glory, you beckon and I. And then someone comes in and interrupts me. And because I'm about to go for a swim.
Ooh, okay.
Which
it's a bit of a tease. I like it.
Which means...
You're going to be a Tony Abbott and being your budgie smugglers?
You got to come and see the show.
All right. There's a bit of a spoiler for everyone. If you want to see Kexter and his budgie smugglers, go watch the show.
and if you don't, come watch the show anyway. No, it'll be a good one. It'll be fun. It'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So that's the opening gambit. I come on stage and I'm about to go for a swim, and I sort of look at the audience, and that's what I say to them. And that's the first time they meet the Prime Minister, and it all goes on from there. So
nice.
But enough about me. So we've spoken about Joe Rogan. Was there any other podcasts you want to talk about, or do you reckon that we're probably just about done for this week?
We're just about done, I think. It's 50 minutes.
Look, I'm quite happy with that. Yeah, I'm quite happy with that. And it felt more like an hour and a half. So
yeah. Once you take out all the lag, yeah, exactly. Oh, that is so true.
So we will have.
Hey, Blurtsters, Wency here.
No,
you've been listening to the New Blurt with myself and the Kexter. Like what you've been listening to? Subscribe to all of our social channels on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram. All the links are in the show notes, and our podcast is released every Monday, so look out for it in your best podcast app. The New Blurt is a Get Off the Grass production.
That is very true. It is a Get Off the Grass production. So we will tidy up. So next week again, really, you and I need to get together and work out 3 weeks ahead what we're doing.
Yes, and we haven't done that in the last 2 weeks.
No,
shame on us.
Both been flat out, and I was stoked to have Dylan on the show. So just want to again say thank you very much for Dylan and your patience, because incredible patience, unbelievable. Anyway, we will see you next week on the New Blurt, and listen to the podcast. It'll be back on Monday as usual.
Yeah,
good night, all.
And I'll see you
Wednesday.
Monday next week. See ya. Bye.
You will indeed, buddy.